Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info. We are back.
Yes, we're back. 92.3 Nigeria Info. It's a Thursday morning, the 10th day of April 2014. And the morning crossfire has kicked off since 5 a.m. I told you earlier we'll have a guest in the studio, and of course our guest has come into the studio finally to talk about matters affecting governance, politics in River State in Nigeria, and the way it should play out before 2015, especially as we're thinking of getting things right this time around. My guest in the studio this morning is, well, some call him Tonye Princewill. Some say Mr. Tonye Princewill. Others will say he's somebody who's been in politics for quite some time now, but all the same, somebody who has a very strong voice as it concerns politics. Now, he was born on the 4th of January 1969, but some people don't like telling their age, but he's cool with that. He doesn't mind. But in politics, his political career actually started when he was nominated as the Guber candidate of the then Action Congress for the governorship of River State in 2007. He was supported by the then former Vice President of Nigeria and AC presidential candidate in 2007 elections, Atiku Abubakar, and former Governor of Lagos and national leader of ACN, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. His campaign attracted significant grassroots support. He lost the election under contested circumstances to the PDP, and of course that was Celestine Omeya. But this morning we have Prince Tonye Princewill in the building. A very good morning to you, sir. Thank you for coming through.
Thank you, Daniel. It's good to be here.
Now, coming down to the East-West Road down to our studio, I'm sure you saw the roads this morning.
I did.
It's a small matter of 30 billion naira we need, by the way, to fix that up before 2014 December. So if you're better with that money right now, we'll be very grateful.
Well, unfortunately, I'm not a thief. So
you don't have 30 billion naira to
I'm
give
not
us.
Even Robin Hood. If not, I was stealing the money and giving it to Niger Delta. But 30 billion, I think, it's unfortunate. But let's say there's progress.
Yes.
Let's look at it on the bright side. The glass is either half empty or half full.
Okay.
So let's say the glass is half full, but definitely the glass is not full.
All right. Now, some people know you as the son of a traditional ruler. For others, you're a face they see on billboards and in newspapers, saying nice words like, for instance, every pencil needs an eraser and things like that. For other people, you're a friend of the governor of River State. But who is Prince Tonye Princewill?
I think Tonye Princewill is somebody who just cares. I mean, that's pretty much how you could identify me. There's one of the billboards that says your height is determined by your heart.
Okay.
So I think however high I've climbed, it's literally simply because I care. I'm the kind of person, I don't like to see injustice. I like to see people happy. I just, believe in the phrase of make love, not war.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's me. But people see me differently. People who watched me grow. You say they call me Prince. People call me TP because until, recently my father was a university professor.
Right.
So this whole king thing, this whole Prince thing is really a recent phenomenon. I mean, it's just Tonye. As far as I'm concerned, people call me TP. And I just care. I like to see justice. I like to see people survive. I like to see people thrive. I like to see people happy. And if I see people not happy, then, I'll step in. That's my story.
Now, this morning, before you came into the studio, we're talking about, is it possible to have a leader who's not a politician in any sphere, either as a local government chairman or a governor or a councillor? And for some people, they said, well, you can't take away politics from a leader. Others said, they're two different things. We can have a leader who's not, who's apolitical. In your opinion, I knew you were smiling when that was going on. What do you think about that one?
I think there's no one answer. I mean, for me, I'd say yes and no.
Okay.
In fact, we already have a leader that is not a politician. Goodluck Jonathan, for instance, is not a politician. So you can have a leader who is not a politician. But the point that some people made, which was quite right, is that you can't divorce leadership from politics.
Okay.
Look at Jonathan, for instance. He would be seen as the leader of the PDP. So, of course, how can the leader of the PDP not be a politician? Some people would argue. But what's his background? Working for Umpadek, he was asked to come and become deputy governor. Reluctantly, he agreed. And as deputy governor, he was pretty much just, part of the furniture. He wasn't very active, very involved. And he became governor by circumstances which we all know, none out of his control. And next thing, what they do, they say, forget governor, come and become vice president.
Right.
Again, as vice president, he's part of the furniture. If the president is traveling out, the president hands over to this secretary to the federal government. So nothing political about him whatsoever. Anything to do with PDP politics at the time, he was literally just an onlooker. And then he becomes president. So you can have leaders who are not politicians. But ultimately, at the end of the day, they have to play politics.
Okay. Now, let's look at...
Let me just say something very quickly, which is, unfortunately for us, we've made the word or the name politician a bad word. And that's not supposed to be the case. We always assume that a politician is naturally a bad person. And in fact, you hear people say, oh, politicians are all the same.
Right.
Well, when we generalize, let us remember that this word prejudice is what we are actually, exhibiting. I'll give you a typical example. You go to London, white people say all black people are the same.
Right.
You go to black people, they say all Africans are the same. You go to Africa, they say all Nigerians are the same. You go to Nigeria, they say all politicians are the same.
You're stereotyping.
Yeah? And then when you come to politicians say all voters are the same. So the politicians assume the voters are just there to be bought. So everybody is stereotyping everybody. But people are not asking themselves, hang on, even in the same family, people are different.
Okay.
So being a politician is not a bad thing. But you can't have leaders who are not politicians.
But looking at River State, some people describe the state as the ECOWAS of Nigeria. Many different ethnic groups represented here, something you don't see all the time in the state and in the country rather, and all these ethnic groups having interests when it comes to governance and leadership in River State. Now, from 1999 till date, that's about spanning about 15 years. How has this change or this ECOWAS tag panned out for River State? Has it made leadership and expectations get to a level where you say, really, we've produced leaders that have the heart of the people, mind of the people at heart, and we have followers as well who expect certain things to be done and are confident or comfortable with these expectations that they've gotten so far, from 1999 till now, looking at leadership in River State?
Well, I think River State is an opportunity still waiting to happen. We've done some good things, there's no doubt about it, but we are not fully reflecting the cultural mix that we have in River State. When I talk about cultural mix, I'm not just talking about indigenes, even non-indigenes. It was only recently that we were able to get a commissioner who is a non-indigene. But successive governments, it didn't happen. Even in Amechi's first tenure, it was a struggle. But I strongly believe that we should have non-indigenous.
Is that a good development? You think it's a good development?
Oh yes, of course.
Even if most of the states in Nigeria are not doing that.
Yeah, but most of the states in Nigeria are not River State.
Okay.
River State.
So what makes River State peculiar?
You just said it. It's the ECOWAS.
Okay.
Nothing gets much more diverse than River State. In fact, I'll tell you something. What people used to say about River State or Port Harcourt is when you ask them, say, you're coming to Port Harcourt, what do you want? They say, no worry, all water, they quench fire. So Port Harcourt was the place to hang out. We all grew up in that. So Port Harcourt is a cultural mix, and it needs to reflect that. We need to have people who are non-indigenous involved in government. They need to be part of it. I think up to 35% of River's population are non-indigenous. It's not reflected in what we're doing. And Nigerians, Rivers people, need to understand that there's a need for us to reflect that kind of cultural diversity. But you see, when there's lack, or when people feel there's lack, then it's like everybody's struggling to survive. So everybody wants to kill everybody. And so even within the state, you have people saying, the Calabaris are not happy, the Ikweres are not happy. The Ikweres have an Ikwere governor, but the Ikwere governor is saying, since you have a governor, let other people have some other things. They are not happy. The Ogonis are not happy. Everybody is not happy. Then you come and start talking to them about non-indigenous. They'll say, but which one? What are you talking about again? Yeah. You haven't even dealt with your own people. You're talking of non-indigenous. So once there is a lack and a feeling of lack, everybody goes back to their village. It's unfortunate, but we need to create a feeling of prosperity. People need to see prosperity. Once they start feeling prosperity, all those things will go. Okay, you talked about the riverine issue and the upland issue just now in your answer. And that's one issue that it's really, really on the front burner. People are saying that it must have a leader that comes from either the riverine part or the upland, and it should be rotated to satisfy the yearnings of the people. What's your view on that? Well, since people like me are interested parties, we try to be as objective as possible. I think what we're trying to do here is simply say that it's a sensitive issue. and nobody should discount anybody's voice on this. You go to various parts of the state. I didn't say Riverine Upland, you did, but as far as Riverine Upland is there, it's a sensitive issue. People are sensitive about it. So for us as leaders, all we have to do is try and get people to understand that there's a need for us to see beyond the cultural diversity into the individual.
Okay.
Just like we don't want to generalize about politicians, we should also not want to generalize about where the person comes from. So yes, you want a riverine candidate, but who?
Okay.
Where is he taking you to? And I say that for instance, in my case, I don't want to be known for where I come from. I want to be known for where I'm taking the state to, where I want to take the state, for instance. So those are the kind of things that people should be reflecting on. But you can't take it away from the fact that people feel these things very deeply. And if they feel them very deeply, no wise person will just want to come and dismiss what people are thinking. You want to listen to what they're saying, you want to understand what they're saying, and you want to reflect on where they're coming from. So yeah, there's a definite sentiment about riverine uplands, Ogoni, Kalabari, and so on and so forth. And I think that the only way you can change this is if you start to make people feel part and parcel of the system.
Well, there's also sentiment as it concerns the party you're standing on, the platform which you're standing on, because you talked about not really going for where you come from. But what about the party? It does matter. Now, you are here in the studio. Are you a party man, sir?
Yes, I am. I mean, I may not be a loud, noisy party man, but I work quite effectively. I mean, I raised over 500 million naira for PDP in 2011. So if I'm doing something, I'm doing something, but it's not about, running around the place and making loud noises.
Okay.
If you go to national headquarters of PDP, the media center there was donated by me. So I've been doing my party politics. I don't know if there's any larger contributor to my local government PDP politics, especially in 2011 elections, who was, larger than myself. But, people forget that someone like me, for instance, I've never held a political office before. So anything I'm doing it purely from my own hustle.
Okay.
So of course there's a limit to what we can do, but we're working and we will continue to work. But I have to say that I'm expecting now over the course of the next few weeks to be more of a party man than I have been. I mean, look at, if you think about PDP as a party, you have to understand that PDP left the Amechi's grasps maybe about a year ago.
Right.
In fact, a year ago this month was when the judgment came and Felix Obua took over the chairmanship of the party. That party has been running, and most people don't ask, how is it running? Felix has had many court cases, and those court cases he's had against Amechi's faction of the PDP, which is now APC. How is it funded? Nobody asks how it's funded. So there's a huge financial requirement.
Demand, right.
Yeah, so people like me have not done enough there, and we will. So definitely, as a party man, there's more that I can do, and there's more that I will do.
Okay. Now, the PDP has been tagged the largest party in Africa. But it seems the problems bedeviling the PDP right now are even large, very large as well. Defections, mass defections, something unheard of in the past. And in recent times as well, an opposition in the APC looks like a formidable opposition on paper, at least, for the PDP to face and counter come 2015. Now, are these telltale signs of a party in problems, an ailing party, if you will?
No, I don't think it's ailing. I mean, I've been on the other side before, so I know a couple of things. I know the strength of the PDP, and I know the strength of the APC. I know them very well. I know both parties very well. I know the insiders very well. There's no doubt that the APC is formidable in terms of its opposition, but it's not formidable enough. Unfortunately, what we would love to see at this point is a political party that will come and say to PDP, this is wrong, but this is right.
Okay.
Unfortunately, APC has only successfully made noise about what they think is wrong. But preferring the alternative has been somewhere between impossible and not happening. So as far as I'm concerned, it's formidable, but the truth ultimately will shine through. Rivers people, Nigerians, ultimately will see the truth in the APC's argument, which is that all they want really is to take power from PDP. And I don't think Rivers people or Nigerians are just talking about handing over power. What they want to see is development. They want to see prosperity. They want to see progress. They want to see policies. And unfortunately, if you look at it, I mean, I'm not saying PDP is fantastic. They have issues. There's no doubt about it. But those issues will be resolved, especially now under much more quiet, much more sane circumstances. Most of the people who have now left the party in a position where it can actually have discussion amongst itself. People like myself, for instance, under PDP, when Amechi was here in Rivers State, we didn't have a say. PDP was a closed shop. There was only one instruction, and it came from the top. Even though people saw me as Amechi's friend, I was probably less a active party person than I am now. So for me, as far as I'm concerned, it's more like people want to see conversation. They want to see dialogue.
Right.
They want to see things happening. What is your policy on youth unemployment? If you check, you'll see that APC has no policy on youth unemployment. Now, as far as I'm concerned,
does the PDP have one?
Of course. And that is just recently. As far as I'm concerned, the political parties in Nigeria generally don't talk policy. They talk personalities. And that doesn't make any sense. What we need to see people talking about is policies. So what are they going to do differently? When are they going to do it? How are they going to do it? What is it going to cost? Those are the kind of questions that they need to be answering.
Okay.
And slowly, PDP is beginning to answer those questions. But it's not because of a want. It's simply because some of us have been screaming at the top of our lungs that enough of this personality politics. Let's go into policy. What are we planning to do for the people? That question is key, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm quite happy that PDP is answering it. And I think APC will answer it. They have no choice but to answer it. Because if they continue pointing fingers and blaming PDP for the nation's ills, people will ask them the question, okay, so what are you going to do about it?
Okay.
And that's where we need to get to. But I really, really, really think that the major challenge for APC is the fact that they're coming up against Jonathan. PDP's strongest asset is Jonathan.
Right.
It has a lot of issues, but that strong asset that it has, which is Jonathan, is more than enough to cope. It coped in 2011. I was not one of the people who was a vocal supporter of Jonathan, especially in the primaries. But Nigerians came out in their masses, in their numbers, and voted for him.
Okay.
He was the asset.
I have a question for you, Mr. Princewill. You said people saw you as a friend of the governor. Are you still friends with the governor of Rivers State?
Well, I think the definition of friends is something that is subjective. I treated him as a friend, saw him as a friend. As far as I'm concerned, politically now, we're on two completely different sides.
Okay. Is it a question of the enemy of your enemy becoming your friend?
Well, like I said, it's all about definitions.
Okay.
But you know, the business of Rivers State and the business of Nigerian politics isn't something about friendship. You know, I can't be comfortable in a scenario where somebody is leading the state and the politics down this kind of road. And then I say the person is my friend, so I'll keep quiet. No, I don't do that. I think a true friend will tell you the truth, even if it is bitter. And so for me, that's the way I see it. But, you know, unfortunately, that was not the way he saw it.
When did you realize this difference in ideology?
Well, it's not a difference this is not ideology now. This is simple, it's principle.
Okay.
Why are we fighting the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? I mean, there's nothing wrong with fighting the President of the Federal Republic, but you have to have a reason. So what is the reason? And I'm afraid, look, I know the inside and the outside of what both parties are thinking too much. So, believe me when I say to you that there's no reason. And what the state is going through now is directly linked to all of that. Including
dwindling revenue coming in?
Everything is directly linked.
Is that fair?
Of course it's not fair. But you see, the problem people have to understand is like, when you're in Rome, don't be surprised if Roman laws apply. What I can't appreciate, I'm a realist. I have some friends, one of my good friends and brothers. He always tells me about what is wrong. And I said to him, look, I agree with you. But let's be realistic. Being in Nigeria, there's certain things that apply. If you're in America, there's certain things that apply. You can't expect a Nigerian situation in America. You know, it's a global world, definitely, a global economy, but there's still local issues that you need to address.
Okay, and local issues will define certain happenings.
Absolutely. I mean, even if Mr. President doesn't stand up and say a single word people working under him and people working with him will do things that will not be in the interest of Rivers State simply because the two of them are in discussions.
But he'll know about it.
He could, and he may not. But the point is that you expect consequences. I'm one of those people who believe that there are consequences for reactions. Look at me, for instance. One of the biggest problems I have today in my political life is my support for Amici. There's some people that said to me, oh, you betrayed us. Because I helped, what I felt was a man who needed help. Many people are not happy with me. They've accused me of betraying their interest and betraying their trust. But it's a consequence. When you take action, there is a reaction. So you can't have an action and expect that there is no reaction. In physics, they say that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So when people see a reaction to an action, why are they surprised? Do you understand? Mm-hmm. There are consequences for things. That's all I'm saying. So for me, I've always taken the position that the best way to look at it is that it's the reaction. Okay. And once you have the reaction, it means then you think before you have the action.
Okay. Now, on March 30, 2012, you granted an interview to the Vanguard. I don't know if you remember, but you said something, and I quote, you said, "This desire to acquire office without conscience is wrong. I'm not ready to be governor. I am not ready to be president. I think that I was propelled by anger in 2007. I don't want to be propelled by anger in 2015 or whatever it is. I want to be propelled by objectives. I need to define a purpose." And I ask you this morning, what kind of purpose and objective should a person vying to be governor of River State have?
You've got to have passion. I mean, look, the challenges are huge. You've got to have passion. I've always believed that in the battle between David and Goliath in River State, David will win. Call it 10 million times. In the battle between David and Goliath in River State, David will always win. So whoever that David is has to have courage. He has to be strong. He has to have character. He has to be able to deal with whatever comes. Goliath will not win in River State. It just doesn't happen. I mean, we've got too much history to say for it. So what will happen in River State is a David who has courage will come out. And that David who has courage, when he comes out, will need to be able to survive the challenge. There is a phrase that my father taught me. He said, if you have a why for living, you can overcome anyhow. So the person has to have a purpose. And that purpose, like I said, should not be anger, should not be bitterness. It should be a simple, clear objective, which is to move River State forward. And I'm talking about the whole of River State, including the non-indigenous within it. So, yeah, that's what we're looking for. And I have no doubt that that person will come.
Okay. All right, we'll be right back after this. The news coming up at 9 o'clock. We'll come back and open the phone lines, your questions, your views, and some of the things that Tonye Princewill had to say. He said, one thing I just remembered just now, he said a Goliath, or David rather, must win the battle against Goliath in River State. All this coming up after the news at 9 o'clock. Sherry Record is standing by with the news for 9 o'clock.
Catch latest details, news headlines, and other stories right here on 92.3 Nigeria.
It's 9 o'clock.
Amongst your people there, just ask. You will find us. If you want to join what I'm doing, TonyePrincewill.com is the best place to do it online. You can go there. We have an office on Aba Road. You can always get to the office on Aba Road and you can meet us. We're all over the place. But more importantly, it's not about sitting down in an office, so it's not about sitting down in a house, it's not about having meetings, it's about a state of mind. If you love River State, if you believe in the kind of ideas that I believe in, just hold on to them, preach them, keep on working together, and ultimately all of us will meet. 268A Aba Road, that's the address.
Okay.
You can always reach us.
All right.
Let me just say quickly to David's observation about the First Lady. You see, at a time like this, headlines will come out and the headlines will confuse. What you have to worry is not so much about what people say, but about what they do. And like I said, the doing is not now. Eventually it will all fall into place. And like I said, there's no need to panic. Let's just keep working. Let's keep focused. Whoever comes out from the Calabari extraction needs to remember that it's not about a Calabari governor. It's about a Rivers governor. Now, that Rivers governor from Calabari extraction has to have the love and the interest of the whole state. The whole state. And if you have that love and interest of the whole state will celebrate you. I believe very strongly that in 2015 we will have a governor who has the love and interest of the whole state. But now is not the time for campaigning. Now is not the time for talking about political ambitions. Let's just focus on Rivers State. If we focus on Rivers State and love Rivers State people will love us back.
Okay. All right. So we're still talking this morning and taking your thoughts in the process. We've got Richard DK calling from Oginigba. Hello, Richard. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, please.
Princewill, good morning.
Morning, my brother.
Okay, Richard, turn off your radio set, please.
Okay.
All right.
Is it okay now?
Go ahead.
Yes, Princewill.
Yes, sir.
I will carefully listen to your comments. I'm not surprised that before you wanted to come out as a governor, even if you didn't succeed. And at the same time, I was also made to understand that there was a time you were too close to our brother Amechi. But I know that this has changed, and you want to buy favor from whoever that is on the ground. Well, I am not surprised if you will deny your brothers, the Calabarians, the Calabar people, the opportunity to bring out a governor. I myself am an Ikwe man, and I'm not in support of an Ikwe man to rule 16 years in River State, because it is not only Ikwe man that has River State. But as a politician, I know he has their way, and he wants to be favored. If you say that it is not time for a Calabari man, our brothers, to come out and rule River State in next time, that it is Nelson Wike, I have nothing to lose, because Nelson Wike is an Ikwe man. But what I'm trying to tell us that if we want to bring somebody, even an Ikwe man or a Calabari man, please let us listen. Let us read the life of that person you are bringing us from his school days, from his secondary school, from his university. Let us look out and see if he has qualification to rule, so that he will not come and rule us and put us into a cult. Let it be the person who is going to rule us and become a godly person who has the fear of God, and not who wants to, if you don't support him, he will kill you. So if you say that you won't support any Calabar
Richard, let me correct you. Let me correct you.
Okay, Mr. Princewill, you answered that call. That question. Let's take Ambassador David calling from Abuja. We'll take his question, then we answer both together.
Okay.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Morning, Ambassador David.
Okay, I have two questions to ask our guests in the studio.
Go ahead.
First and foremost, I would say I'm watching it online.
Okay.
It's not very clear.
Okay.
But at least I was able to get what we are talking about.
All right, go on.
I want to appreciate his courage, and the things that he has told us, they are practically true, and they are straightforward. But this question I want to ask him is related to his relationship with the governor, and the first tenure of the governor. I want to ask him whether he feels his relationship with the governor, because he was fingered to be involved with some projects in the state with the governor, and I want to ask whether his relationship whether it culminated into any form of empowerment for youth in River State. I am the president of the National Youth Summit Group, and employment is very much important for us. And being someone that has been in River State for quite a long time, I think that's very important. That's why I'm calling.
Okay.
Now, I want to ask him, if he's elected as governor of this state, can he create jobs for Rivers youth? What number does he think he can create within 4 years? And how? Practically, how is he going to create it? Practically. I would like him to, in a brief way, tell us how he can do this. Thank you very much.
All right, so those two issues.
Yeah, very good questions. Thank you, Ambassador David. Richard, let me just correct you. You see, I don't want us to mistake appreciation of Wike's PDP leadership role into an endorsement for governorship. I'm not endorsing Wike for governor. I'm also not excluding a Calabari governor. So please, let us correct that. Unfortunately, in politics of today, you either abuse somebody or you praise the person. 100% abuse or 100% praise. I don't operate that way. What I simply said was I appreciate the leadership he has exhibited in PDP. It was an exemplary job he did, and I still appreciate the job that he continues to keep doing. It is not in any way an endorsement of Wike for governor. Please correct that. Secondly, I did not say that the Calabaris cannot produce a governor. In fact, I think the Calabaris are more than capable of producing a governor. So please, I want us to correct that very quickly. Now, on to the question by Ambassador David. Because of time limitations, I won't go into too much detail. But I have said it time and time and time again, that for me, the governor of Rivers State should only have one priority. One. All this one of 7-point agenda, 5-point agenda, 15-point agenda, and all those things, I don't believe in it. The governor of Rivers State should only have one priority, and that's job creation. Job creation is and should be the only priority of the governor. People say, oh, what about if security? I say, look, security, if you have put job creation in place, will naturally take care of itself. I've also said to them, education, which many people take as a priority, should be education for jobs. I don't want to train people to get degrees so they can get degrees and stay at home. I want to train people so whatever qualifications they get them into not just a job, but a job that pays an adequate income that they can use to actually make something of their lives. So job creation is key, and it's a good question he's asking. Now he's asking a very important question, which is, don't just tell us you're going to create jobs. Tell us two things. Number one, how many jobs are you going to create within the period of 4 years?
Okay, Mr. Princewill, it's 9:30. Let's share. Come and give us the headline news. We'll come back. We'll continue with this. I think for 15 more minutes. We'll be right back. 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Headline News, Nigeria Info on
92.3.
Headline News.
First of all, I need to get what you might call a consultation process out of the way. And post-consultation, if I do decide to run, then I will be giving you specifics. So it's too early to go into specifics. Also, one thing I've discovered in politics is that some politicians just cut and paste. So they will wait for Princewill to say what needs to be done, how it will be done, and then they'll go and cut and paste it. I think eventually anybody who is serious about running for governor will come out with figures, will come out with facts, and will come out with why. But let me say some things that I can already account for. Number one is I have actually already gotten a consultant to work with me, and we've gone a World Bank consultant to go around the state to gather information on a local government by local government basis, pretty much to most of the communities in Rivers State, asking people what the issues are, finding out what the challenges are. And that information has given me a lot of what you might call basic, I want to call it data that one can use. And I hadn't even seen the government do that. So for an individual to have this data, I actually passed the data on to Rivers State government. But that is just an indication of the kind of depth of knowledge, intimate knowledge of what is on the ground. Because you see, Port Harcourt is, everything is around Port Harcourt. I mean, we need to decentralize Rivers State. It cannot all be around Port Harcourt. So in terms of jobs, I will be saying, if I do decide to contest, exactly how many jobs I will create. But I'll say something very quickly. For you to understand job creation, let us first of all recognize that jobs have to be created by the private sector, not government. And the only way you can get jobs to be created by the private sector is to get them to invest in Rivers State. And to get them to invest in Rivers State, you have to understand the language of business. Many people don't understand the language of business. If you want to get an investor in, you have to understand the language of business, because it's only when you understand the language of business that you can create the environment by which business will thrive. I was speaking to a major multinational who said to me that, Tonye, most of these politicians, I can't talk to them. They don't understand my language. And that means, therefore, that they cannot be investing huge amounts of money because the politicians are not filling them with any confidence. So if we do decide to run, we'll be telling people not just that job creation is our priority, but how many jobs we can create. And the how to create it is simply to understand the language of business.
Okay.
That's the way to do it.
All right, we've got 3 questions, one on Twitter, one on Facebook, and one from SMS because we can't take all, obviously. But on Facebook here, someone, Asel Momo says, "Sir, you want to betray us as you did in 2007 because it's time for us to take the throne of government from the so-called Ikwere because I think they are jokers and they have anything to offer." And that's the first SMS, that's the first comment on Facebook that came through. On Twitter, just put that one down. On Twitter, we have this one here saying that why do Rivers PDP politicians use Goodluck Jonathan as their placard rather than what they have to offer Rivers people themselves? Okay, and yeah, those are 2 we have. And then for SMSs, okay, just address those 2 issues first.
Well, let me just very good questions. I mean, look at this question now about betrayal. I go to 2007 election. It's my first entry into politics. I go to 2007 election. I fight a battle. I go to the election. Literally very little financial support from anywhere. I fight an election. After that, I go to court. Again, very little financial support from anywhere. Apart from, say, Tinubu, who made major contributions to my legal battle. Very little support from anywhere. By the time we got to the Supreme Court judgment, we were fighting with our bare hands. Very little support. A lot of people say, "Oh, we supported you, we did everything." But, it would be nice if somebody gave me 2,000 naira. Because if 1,000 people gave me 2,000 naira, or 1 million people gave me 2,000 naira, of course, we won't have any issues. So we're there fighting. When Omeha came out, Omeha offered 1.5 billion naira. We refused to take it. We kept on fighting. And then when Amechi came out, we looked at it and thought to ourselves that, well, if the same system that we were fighting was fighting him and he succeeds or succeeded, then we can claim that victory. And we decided that the state was so polarized along River Rhine upland dichotomy that it would be symbolic and very peace making for me to support him, for me to help him. And that if we helped him and he moved the state forward the way we wanted, I didn't have to be governor. He could do it. I don't like to use the word regret, but if I go back now, maybe there's some things I would have done differently. When I put up the billboard, I say, have a forgiving spirit. We all make mistakes. That's why pencils have erasers. Right. It applies to everybody, even me. Now, this is my first entry into politics. But to tag it as betrayal is unfortunate. Because, we do these things for what we felt were Rivers reasons. We felt we were doing it for the benefit of Rivers State. Now, we could be wrong. But, like I said, we all make mistakes. But, I did it, and I did it with genuine intentions. So I don't see it as a betrayal. I rather think that if people are supporting people, it would be nice to feel that support. Not just hear that you supported me, but to actually feel the support. Okay. And that, I think, is what I expect for people tomorrow.
And the second question was about Rivers politicians using the Goodluck Jonathan placard to basically maybe whip up sentiments and just get some kind of support.
Yeah, but I also want to say to that first question, I also want to say that I didn't take the decision to support Amechi on my own. I called all the party members. I called the youths. I called the women. I called the elders. I called the local government chairman of all the 23 local governments. I also called the executive of the party. And the decision was taken jointly. In fact, they even put it in writing. Because I said, you can't take this decision and then tomorrow you will deny it. Right. So the decision was even put in writing. It was recorded. So when people say that Tonye did this, I don't operate like that. I consult. And when I consulted, the decision was taken that this is what we should do. So we did it. The mistake I made then was many people supported me who were not members of the party. So when I was calling, I should have called groups and associations affiliated with what we're doing. But people have to understand that that was my first entry into politics. Now, of course, I know a lot better. I know that if you call the party and discuss with the party, you haven't even started. There are many people in Rivers State that do not carry party cards, but have an interest in who governs them. Okay. So, of course, that's a lesson that I've learned. Now, the second question was talking about why politicians use...
in Rivers State especially.
In Rivers State using... Yeah. Now, you see, if I was talking about what I have to offer, I would be campaigning. And since we're not campaigning, And since we're not talking about what we want to do as governor of Rivers State, it would not be wise for me to start saying, running out a long list. That's why I haven't wanted to go into what David has asked for.
Yes.
I have simply said that my preference is that we just focus on the issues on the ground as opposed to our personal agendas. But if, anybody wants to look at my own story, my story is very clear. I've been speaking consistently over the years about the issues, whether it is job creation, whether it is, housing, whether it is security, how to address all those kind of issues. The main issues that matter to people in Rivers State, education and so on, I've had subjects on it. And of course, if you go to my website, TonyePrincewill.com, you'll see a lot of that material. But I think the question the listener was alluding to, which is, why are we using Jonathan? Of course, you put up what you think is your best foot forward first. And so that's what we're doing. I think Jonathan, I didn't expect much from Jonathan, I've got to be honest with you. I didn't expect much from him. So maybe part of the reason why I am so impressed by him is because he's, you've got your bar set low and the person exceeds it. And that's why, when people look at Jonathan and complain. So I'm impressed by him, and of course I always put him up as an example of the good. But the truth is, what I said was Jonathan is PDP's best asset. If Jonathan was not there, maybe the PDP story would be a completely different one. I'm just stating the facts.
All right, fantastic. This morning, talking to Tonye Princewill. Thank you for coming to the studio to share time with us. And of course, we'll talk about issues in the state, in Nigeria, politics, governance in general. And hopefully, when we invite you next time, you'll come again. Next time you'll come again?
Are you telling me it's over?
It is over.
Okay.
It is over.
What are you talking about?
It is over. It is over because, we have other things to do, and we have had you. But lots of discussion, like I said before, if we invite you again, you will come again.
No, I will. I mean, there's no doubt I will come again. This is obviously, I think this is the beginning of me saying a lot more than I've been saying. I've been silent for a while. I want to think that you played the speech I made recently. I think that was played a few days ago, or was it yesterday? We'll try and convince you to play it again. But on top of that, I find Nigeria Info as, I think it's probably the best station in Rivers State now. I think some of the other radio stations will not be happy to hear me saying it, but without doubt, this program is a program that attracts a lot of attention. So you guys keep doing it, and definitely I know that if we want to speak to Rivers people, this is definitely one of the channels we'll be using. Can I just say something very quickly?
Go ahead.
The first batch of scholars for the Amayamba of Calabar scholarship scheme, please come to the house. Is it the house where we're giving them? Okay, yeah. Come to the house. You will know. I don't want to say my address on the radio, because I always tell people if they really want to find me, they know where to find me. But come and pick up your checks tomorrow. Your checks will be ready for the first batch of the scholars. I think it's on the website. Is it on the website? Yeah. So go to TonyePrincewill.com and you'll see your names there. Please come and pick up your checks, because it's time it's payday. Let's call it that way.
Okay.
It's payday.
All right, fantastic. Well, 12 minutes before 10 o'clock, and we'll let Mr. Tonye Princewill go after a good time in the studio, taking on your thoughts. Of course, we couldn't take all. It's always the same, but there's a post on Facebook. You can go on Twitter and still make your comments, and of course, subsequently, when he comes back, these will be given to him, and he can start addressing them one after the other. It's still 92.3 Nigeria Info, still the Morning Crossfire, and of course, this Thursday morning, we're right back.